Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 2nd, 2019 meeting of the Whitehall City Council for the purpose of considering such matters that may come before it. I'm going to ask everyone to please rise for a moment of silence and remain standing for the pledge. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Present.
Peck. Morrison.
Here.
Bailey. Rodriguez.
Here.
Elmore.
Present.
Coniston.
Here.
President Graham.
Present.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce the absent member. What's going on here?
Who's that go?
Cello. It's the microphone. Say second.
Oh, second. Sorry.
I have a motion from Mr. Rodriguez and a second from Ms. Heck. Wait a minute. Yes. You guys got me all messed up here. This is not what I wrote down. At any rate, to excuse the absent member, Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor.
Yes.
Peck.
Yes.
Morrison.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Elmore.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
The absent member has been
Can you just
excused.
turn this one off? Because this one's the one that's...
I don't know. Next on our agenda, we have the approval of minutes for March 19, 2019, agenda and regular meeting.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the March 19th minutes.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Coniston and a second by Mr. Cantor for approval of the March 19, 2019 minutes. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor.
Yes.
Peck.
Yes.
Morrison.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Elmore.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
The minutes have been approved. It's our first opportunity for poll public. If anyone would like to come forward at this time, you'll have up to 3 minutes. Seeing no one, we will move on with our standing committee reports, and we'll begin with the Administration and Financial Management. That's Chairperson Bailey. However, he is unable to attend the meeting this evening, but that committee did meet last Tuesday. Their minutes are on file, and they shall also meet again next Tuesday sometime after 6:30. Next up, we have Community and Elder Advocacy, Chairperson Elmore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Community and Elder Advocacy met last Tuesday. We have no pending legislation. We will meet again in the back. Our minutes are on file next Tuesday after 6:30.
All right, thank you. Community Standards and Enforcement, Chairperson Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Community Standards and Enforcement met last Tuesday. Our minutes are on file. Got a whole bunch of good stuff on the agenda this evening. And we'll meet again next Tuesday, sometime after 6:30.
All righty. Economic Development, Chairperson Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Economic Development also met last Tuesday. Our minutes are on file. We'll meet again next Tuesday sometime after 6:30 in the back.
Thank you, sir. Infrastructure Maintenance and Services, Chairperson Heck.
Thank you, Mr. President. Infrastructure, Maintenance, and Services met last Tuesday. Our minutes are on file. We will meet next Tuesday sometime after 6:30 in the back.
Thank you. Public Safety, Chairperson Coniston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Safety met last week. Our minutes are on file, and we'll meet again in the back sometime after 6:30 on Tuesday.
All right, thank you. Parks and Recreation, Chairperson Cantor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Parks and Recreation also met last week. Our minutes are on file, and we'll meet again next week in the back after 6:30.
Okay. All righty. Well, those are all of our standing committee reports. We'll move on to our officials' reports, and we'll begin with our mayor, Ms. Kim Maggard.
Good evening, and I appreciate everyone coming out tonight. I'd like to say that I'm looking forward to hearing about the school plans for Lambie Lane. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much for coming out. And also, I got a great phone call yesterday from Assistant Chief Menapace. The Department of Justice is very interested in our Safe Stations program and our drug court and what we are trying to do to reduce the opioid epidemic here in Whitehall. And some members of the Department of Justice are going to be coming to the city of Whitehall to get a good idea about how we are doing this, what we are doing in order to, in what we call embrace the challenge, and what we're doing to help people, to lift people up and save lives. So they're coming, and they have heard about this program, about it being, I don't know if we can call it successful because it's not all the way done, but we are seeing incredible strides in helping people in the program. And they are going to come out, they're going to find out all they can about it, and then they're going to come back again in order to probably do a video so they can share it with other states and all throughout the United States. So I'm very happy about this, and when we learn more, I'll let you know more. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have our city attorney, Mr. Michael Bivens.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. Mayor, that's great news. I look forward to hearing more about that. City Attorney's Office prosecuted 289 cases in Mayor's Court in the month of March. Out of those 289 cases, 22 of those were of Whitehall residents, so that's a 7%. If you recall, back in February, it was also 7%. In January, it was 13%. So we're trending downwards, at least in the first quarter. So just happy to report that. I just would also like to report to council, last time I gave these numbers, I said that I would try to work on a matrix on whether or not we could track cases that were done at retail establishments. Well, lo and behold, I discovered that when a officer goes out to a retail establishment, it's not necessarily tagged as a crime at a retail establishment. So there could be assaults, there could be traffic, and they do it by the address, which just lo and behold means I'm not able to track it by retail establishments. It got too complicated to do it that way, and the numbers wouldn't be accurate. So I would want to give this body accurate numbers, and unfortunately I'm not able to provide that. So I just wanted to let council know that.
All righty, thank you. Next up, we have our city auditor, Mr. Dan Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no official report tonight. I would like to ask for favorable consideration on ordinances 29, 42, 43, and 44, and resolution 17.
All right, next up, we have our Director of Development and Public Service, Mr. Zach Woodruff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the opportunity this evening. I just wanted to inform everyone and kind of keep everyone up to speed on some infrastructure projects that are going on in the city. We are scheduling for next week our pre-construction meeting for the 2019 road maintenance project. That includes repaving the last block of Westfall, repaving Shady Lane, Fairway Oaks, and Brentwood Court. It also calls for new curb and gutter and repaving Collingwood from Etna north to Main Street. In addition to that, we're also having EMH&T complete the necessary engineering for the bridge replacement of the bridges on Elburn and Etna. Those replacement projects are scheduled to occur next year, so we're doing the engineering for those right now, and we will award the winning contract for the Yearling Road project probably in the next 10 days or so. We have the final bid tab, but we will be focusing on awarding that bid. But all told, this year, the city's going to be investing about $3.7 million in infrastructure-related improvements and engineering. And again, we certainly wish we could do more, but we are certainly maximizing every dollar that council appropriates so that we can address our infrastructure in a timely manner. So I just wanted to make that announcement and kind of let you guys know where we were for 2019. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next up, we have our Director of Public Safety, Mr. Van Gray.
Mr. President, I have no official report this evening.
Okay. Now that brings us to our Treasurer, Mr. Steve Quinzel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to make you all aware of a couple of things. One of the perks that we had with the Heartland Bank contract when we signed that was that our understanding was that they were going to pay us interest on a premium checking account, a couple of points higher than what Star Ohio paid. Star Ohio was run by the state treasurer's office. That happened initially, and pretty much stayed locked there. So a few days ago, Dan moved $7 million from Heartland to Star Ohio. We're already seeing some benefits there. We didn't close the Heartland account. We just moved some money there. Additionally, our investment advisor firm, Albany Capital Partners, is merging with a company called Red Tree based in Cincinnati. We know the people that own and run Red Tree, so they're not new people to Dan and me, but hopefully things will continue smoothly with that transition.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I got one more thing I wanted to add to mine. Just want to let the audience know that the tax department will be open for the next 2 Saturdays from noon, from 8 o'clock till noon. Tax day is April 15th, that's Monday.
Okay. You've all been fair warned. All right. Well, we have received the following reports have been filed in the council office since our last meeting. We have several of them from the treasurer. First off, we have the treasurer's investment report for February 2019, along with the treasurer's activity by fund report for February 2019, and the treasurer's fund reconciliation report for February 2019. That's all. Those are all the officials' reports we have. Under communications, petitions, and claims, we do have the agenda for the April 4, 2019 meeting of the Planning Commission. And that's all the communications, petitions, and claims. That brings us to the next part of our agenda, which is public hearings. We have several of them. We'll begin with Ordinance 32, 2019. It's amending the zoning map attached to Chapter 1122 of the 1970 Codified Ordinances of the City of Whitehall, Ohio, and as subsequently amended, allowing a special permit under 1123.10 C21 to allow Two Tones Brewing Company to operate a wholesale business on property located at 4359 East Broad Street, property owned by Jacob and Faye Gelman. If there is anyone who would like to speak in favor of Ordinance 32, 2019, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Alright, hi guys, I'm Tony with Two Tones Brewing here in
Tony.
Whitehall. Tony Hill with Two Tones Brewing here in Whitehall. As most of you know, we're gearing up to open our new brewery and tap room at 4539 East Broad Street. Construction's already complete. We're currently working on finishing touches now. So as you guys mentioned, the reason I'm here is to help us in acquiring a special permit for wholesale distribution of beer from our new facility. We completely understand that Broad Street isn't a wholesale or warehouse district, but we wanted you to know that our operation will fall far short of what you would normally expect a warehouse to look like. We're a very small operation, and even in the brewing world, we're probably in the bottom 10th of brewery production. We don't have plans to distribute with a lot of frequency from our new location. We're estimating at the maximum half of our production will be distributed out to outside bar and restaurant accounts. This covers roughly 150 gallons of beer, or around 10 standard kegs per week. These kegs would be delivered to our accounts Monday through Thursday from late morning to the early afternoon hours. We only have one delivery vehicle, so traffic flow in and out of the facility would not be affected. These deliveries would be made outside of our business hours. Aside from that, we're also anticipating a small number of to-go sales for individuals from our premises. We're thinking maybe 2 to 3 kegs per week, so that will be pretty low impact as well. And those customers will be picking kegs up outside of business hours for the most part. And just to close, we're just hoping to be a success in this community and hope you guys are on board. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah, I got a question. What do you open?
So yeah, right now we're through all of our inspections and just waiting on paperwork to go through with the state. So they told us don't open until the paperwork's processed. So we're trying to do everything we need to stay legit.
On the public sales of kegs, is that a full keg or is it pony or quarter keg?
We call them sixtels. They're 1/3 of the size of what you would think of a standard keg. So it's about 5.2 gallons normally. Now sometimes people who drink a lot, they want the standard size keg too. We're thinking maybe 2 to 3 transactions per week for personal sales.
Well, hopefully it'll be more popular than that.
Well, what we're hoping is that we run into a supply issue where we have to continuously produce more.
There you go.
And then go from there.
Have you brought on more staff to take care of things?
We've got, including myself, 3 employees. We've got 2 more that are just about to be trained. So.
They'll be trained on checking IDs and...
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna do. There's actually some courses we need to get our guys put through that actually help with that. How to identify, who's. Bottom line is, everybody will be getting their IDs checked. We want to do everything legit.
This is an on-site testing, is that correct? You're gonna be able to test the product in there?
Sure.
Okay. You selling food?
So by law, we have to offer some snacks. So we'll be doing very limited, but mostly food trucks, as long as the city's okay with it. We've heard some mixed things about that.
I got an idea for you. There's a product that comes from Alaska, and it's a very salty salmon.
Sounds good.
It might increase your sales of other items.
Yeah, lots of salty things.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a dried salmon, but it's cured.
Sounds excellent.
It is. I've had it for like 30 years. It's very hard to find.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Get us a connection, yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. No, we have no further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Is there
Tony.
anyone else who would like to speak in favor of ordinance 32, 2019?
Good evening, everybody. Joe Ryan with the Development Department. Since you all have my staff report, I will be brief. I'll be here to answer any questions. So because it's wholesaling, they need a special permit. And we all know that we're trying to do a broad street with Norton Crossing, trying to activate it, more pedestrians, more traffic, more active space. So an example, if you wanted to do a full warehouse and a full building, we might not want that to go through because that's not activating the Broad Street area. However, because this is in a controlled space and it's also part of their retail operation, which is the primary operation, we believe that they should be allowed to do this wholesaling business because it's only a small part of what they're actually doing. And that's why they have to go do the special permit.
Question? No questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of ordinance 29, 2019? No, that's not right. 32. No? All right. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to ordinance 32, 2019? All right, so I will close the public hearing on ordinance 32, 2019 at this time. We'll move into our next public hearing, which is ordinance 33, 2019, and that is amending the zoning map attached to chapter 1122 of the 1970 codified ordinances of the City of Whitehall, Ohio, and as subsequently amended, allowing a special permit under 1123.03C1 to allow Whitehall City Schools to operate school facilities on the property located at 4040 Lambie Lane, property owned by Board of Education of the Whitehall City School District. I will open that public hearing at this time. If there is anyone who would like to speak in favor of ordinance 33, 2019, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, City Council, members of City Government. My name is Dave Hausman. I'm Director of Operations for Whitehall City Schools. With me is Stacy Rose with Shore Architects. We are here for a proposed building project at the 4040 Lambie Lane property. As many of you may be aware, Whitehall City Schools purchased this property a few months back. The property currently is surrounded by property owned by the Whitehall City School District, at least on the 3 sides. The property we purchased had several structures that were in disrepair. Those structures have since been demoed and everything removed, site graded, seeded. What we are hoping to do at this point is build a locker room structure to house multiple sports for Whitehall Yearling High School. The structure we are hoping to build, and we have both the presentation and handouts, if anybody would like to follow along with handouts.
Don't forget to state to your addresses.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Pass them out if there's one left.
I apologize.
That's all right. I just need to make sure that everything is followed.
Absolutely. Again, Dave Hausman. I reside at 427 Ross Road, Whitehall, Ohio, 43213. And I'm here on behalf of the Whitehall City School Board of Education, 625 South Yearling Road, Whitehall, Ohio, 43213.
You will also have to do this.
So the structure we are hoping to build will be at the west end of the 4040 Lambie property. It is be a concrete masonry unit. It will be split face, block, multiple colors to sort of match the school colors as closely as possible. The structure will be just a little over 3,800 square feet. We'll house locker rooms for both during football season, the home and visiting teams. But during other sports seasons, we are setting the facility up to where we can run multiple sports out of this facility. There will be a dividing curtain, if you will, down the center of the structure, so both male and female athletes could use it. For instance, track season. We can have male athletes and coaches on one side, pull the divider, and have female athletes on the other side. This will house multiple sports. We are planning to make it available for both baseball and softball teams to utilize also, as well as soccer. This spot that we're planning on building lends itself very well for the football season to allow the teams to come to this facility at halftime and then re-enter the football field at the end of halftime. There will be a few parking spaces in front on the west side of the structure. Approximately 6 spaces. We are hoping to also maybe let the officials use those spaces. There will be restroom facilities also. This unit, we've been working with the civil engineer, so we know that there is infrastructure work that needs to happen. We are planning on bringing a sanitary line to this, water line. It will be heated and cooled. So this is a structure that we will use for multiple sports. Stacy, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to state my name and Stacy Rose. Work with
you can give their address. It doesn't have,
It's,
it doesn't have to be yours.
Sure, it's 230 Bradenton Drive in Dublin, Ohio. Just to segue onto that, yeah, we have the 100 lockers, so we're excited to have both home visitor, multi-purpose use. We did work through quite a few infrastructure upgrades because the original site only had septic and no electric to support the HVAC. Like I said, it's going to be heated and cooled. Good access from the back of the track and field area, so you can directly access it off the field, as Dave mentioned. But also sitting adjacent to some of the other open fields, so it'll have a dual purpose to support those sporting activities during those seasons. So you're definitely getting the most use out of the building. The restrooms can be support the public if needed. So we've coordinated the keying and security system to allow the restrooms to be open, but then the locker rooms are locked down, so no one can get further than that. So that'll also be nice.
Basically, we are hoping with approval to start on this project in the very near future. I would like to get contractors on site as soon as possible. Originally, we had hoped to have this completed by the beginning of football season. We know that that is not going to be achievable. So based on that, it will probably be somewhere midway through the season to maybe a little bit later. This will take place as soon as everything is approved and we can get contractors on the site. This will, I know that also there have been talks about 4th of July festivities and things like that. I know I've met with Zach and other members of the city, and this is something that we will be able to work through. It should not affect this. I mean, there may be some slight traffic changes, some things that we need to work around, but I don't foresee a huge problem.
From the site, we do have in the packets, we handed out some imagery of the exterior elevations and the floor plan. I'm in trouble. We can run through that. Highlighting some of the features. So we do have a central located coach's office to the plan north. Below that, the restrooms. So the coach's office can see what's happening in the locker rooms. So it's a good feature. But we do have the accordion partition, so if you do have a mixed gender. So the coach's office, the main home locker room and visitor, we did label them home and visitor to kind of avoid allowing for multi-use, multi-sports in the future. And then the associated restrooms with each, and then mechanical, electrical. So we do have a staff restroom as well, so it would be nice for the refs, the coaches, when they're out there.
We are putting a small area in also to where the trainer will be able to work. Basically, there'll be a pull curtain and a table, those type of things, if the trainer would need to tape somebody up or tend to an injured athlete. There will be in the coach's suite, there will be an area, there will be pull-down screens to where they'll be able to view video. So the coaches will also be able to work out there, maybe even just during practice season. If you're running two-a-days and things of that nature, the coaches will be able to stay out there during the day and monitor any students who may still be out there. There will also be, as Stacy mentioned, access from the coaches' offices so they can monitor the students into the locker rooms. And again, a dividing wall down the center when necessary. As far as the CMU, again, split-face block, again, trying to somewhat mirror the colors of the school district with a darker charcoal gray rather than black, and then a lighter color also.
The high contrast color should give it kind of a pop that it's an athletic building, give it some features, so it's a place that looks, has a face on it, a little bit of design to it. The red on here is not, that is a kind of a diagrammatic representation of where the materials are going to go. The red on here we did match as close as possible to the brick that is already on the high school, so it's just sort of a nice red brick, deep red look. Decided to give the central part of the building a little bit of a design flair by doing a random pattern in the split face, and then going ahead and banding the top of it. Kind of harkens back to sort of a uniform or something that would make it feel like a building, athletic outbuilding, and give it a little bit of pop out in the field. So that is a fairly close representation of the color. The lighter split face with the red give it a nice contrast, and like Dave was saying before, where we did go with the darker color at the bottom just to keep the dirt, when the mud hits the rains, things like that, to keep it clean. All of the building will have integral water repellent, and then a spray applied water repellent after the fact as well to keep it looking good all the time.
We will also have cameras on the exterior of the building, basically at the four corners, pointing down each side. So a total of 8 cameras total. Obviously, being a locker room facility, no interior cameras, but we will be monitoring the outside. There will be an alarm system on the building also. So we will, along with for the coaches suite, there will be internet available and things of that nature. So we'll be able to tie into our own infrastructure.
These lockers, will they be able to individually lock those?
Yes, they will. We're working now with the lockers, the locker company that we work with a lot in our buildings. We are hoping that we've talked with the locker supplier. We believe that we've ordered everything or will order everything in enough lead time to have them here in place in time. And we have ordered them to where they can be lockable, but there is storage compartments top and bottom that are lockable, and the center is more just for hanging shirts and helmets and things of that nature.
Will there be any monitoring of the facility during the activities? You say you have security cameras, will there be someone monitoring those because there's going to be a lot of equipment in there at that time? Or
There probably won't be somebody sitting watching cameras all the time, but if there is an issue, it's something that we can bring up remotely. All the cameras, like in my district, I can remote into a system and see if there's a problem. But we don't have anybody on staff that just watches the cameras or monitors on a regular basis.
Not real time? Okay. And no physical person left back in the locker room at that time?
No. We would make sure that when the coaches leave, that all the athletes, they make sure that the athletes would leave with them. There wouldn't be anybody in the facility by themselves.
And the kids will always be monitored with the coaches, correct? Like the kids won't be allowed in the locker rooms without a coach present?
Correct. Yeah, right now, it will be, again, the doors will be locked and there will be an alarm system, so the only way anybody would be able to get in would be for a coach to let them in.
And where will the divider go? I know you said down the center, but I didn't really.
Yeah, if you go, yes, there's a dotted line right there. That is the dividing wall. It's basically an accordion style wall to where it can be pushed open back sort of against the south edge to make one large coaches area if it's just for football practice and you have multiple coaches in there. But that can be pulled when there's 2 separate teams in there or different genders. Stacy, do you have anything else to add? Any questions I can answer for you?
How many total lockers do I have on either side?
We will have 100 lockers on the home side and 60. 100 total, 60 and 40. I'm sorry, I apologize. 100 total.
And then some in the coach suite.
Right.
So 40 on the visitor side.
Yes. Other questions?
Will equipment, he said equipment, will equipment get stored here or will it still be stored at the school? Or?
Most of it will still be stored at school. There is very limited storage here.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, we had hoped to build a larger storage area, but based on budget constraints, the square footage just wasn't there. There is a small area that they can store some footballs in, tees, things of that nature. But everything else will still be stored where it currently is or in the main building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who else would like to speak in favor of ordinance 33, 2019?
Hello again. So with this case here, the development staff is concerned about the zoning and the use. So what was there before was a single-family home, and it was surrounded by R3 zoning, and it will stay R3 zoning. So typically with the zoning code, you have a school or institutional use as a separate zoning, so this would be a rezoning. However, because we're Whitehall, we're special, our zoning code is a special permit use within an R3 zoning. So this is why it's a special permit case, because anytime you have a school use in an R3 zoning, you have a special permit. So that's why this case is brought to you this evening. And then when you just look at it, it's pretty obvious. So to the north, south, and east, it's all surrounded by the school system. You know, when it was a single family house in the past, it probably made sense, but now as the schools are growing, they're building an addition on their schools. You know, the enrollment is growing, they need a place to expand. And if you were to look at it and say, where in the city would they like to expand, or does it make sense to expand, this would be the place. So we believe that granting a special permit for this property makes a lot of sense, and we would support this special permit application. Are there any questions about that thought process?
Doesn't seem so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to come forward in favor of ordinance 33, 2019? Well, then I will ask if there's anyone who is in opposition to ordinance 33, 2019. If so, now would be your opportunity to come forward. Seeing no one, I will, at this time, I will close the public hearing on ordinance 33, 2019. We did have another public hearing scheduled this evening on ordinance 39, 2019. However, that ordinance has been withdrawn by the applicant. So that concludes our public hearings for the evening. At this time, I'm going to call on Ms. Aug to call the roll on whether each member of council was given each item of legislation listed on the agenda prior to the meeting, and including any add-on legislation.
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
All righty. So we'll move on with our ordinances for the evening. We start with ordinance 29, 2019. It's authorizing the creation of the Air South Urban Redevelopment account and appropriating $64,755.22 from unappropriated monies in the Wimpity Fund and declaring an emergency.
This is the one he's amended, right?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 29, 2019 and move to amend it, adding parcel Z.
No, not this one.
As read.
As read.
This is the as read.
Yes.
Right? As read.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Mr. Morrison to amend ordinance 29, 2019 as read. Questions or comments? Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Ordinance 29, 2019 has been amended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Mr. Morrison for adoption of ordinance 29, 2019. Questions or comments? Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Ordinance 29, 2019 has been adopted. Our next ordinance is 32, 2019. It's amending the zoning map attached to Chapter 1122 of the 1970 Codified Ordinances of the City of Whitehall, Ohio, and as subsequently amended, allowing a special permit under 1123.10 C21 to allow Two Tones Brewing Company to operate a wholesale business on the property located at 4359 East Broad Street, property owned by Jacob and Faye Gelman.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 32, 2019, and amended by adding parcel number 090-000-318.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Mr. Cantor to amend ordinance 32, 2019 to add parcel number 090-000-318 to the document. Questions or comments? Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor?
Yes.
Heck?
Yes.
Morrison?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Elmore?
Yes.
Coniston?
Yes.
Ordinance 32, 2019 has been amended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Cantor for adoption of ordinance 32, 2019. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor?
Yes.
Heck?
Yes.
Morrison?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Elmore?
Yes.
Coniston?
Yes.
Ordinance 32, 2019 has been adopted. Next up, we have ordinance 33, 2019. It's amending the zoning map attached to chapter 1122 of the 1970 codified ordinances of the city of Whitehall, Ohio, and as subsequently amended, allowing a special permit under 1123.03 C1 to allow Whitehall City Schools to operate facilities on the property located at 4040 Lambie Lane, property owned by Board of Education of the Whitehall City School District.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 33, 2019, move for its adoption.
Second?
I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Ms. Heck for introduction and adoption of ordinance 33, 2019. Questions or comments? Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor?
Yes.
Heck?
Yes.
Morrison?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Elmore?
Yes.
Coniston?
Yes.
Ordinance 33, 2019 has been adopted. It's the last item of legislation we have under third reading. Under second reading, we start with ordinance 37, 2019. It's amending codified ordinance 335.01, driver's license or commercial license required. That ordinance is being read by title only. Next, we have ordinance 38, 2019. It's amending the zoning map attached to chapter 1122 of the 1970 codified ordinances of the city of Whitehall, Ohio, and as subsequently amended, allowing a special permit under 1123.10 C1 to allow the Mad Creek to operate a drive-in window and drive-through facilities on property located at 4210 East Broad Street, property owned by Plaza International Properties, LLC. That's being read by title only, and it has also been referred to the Planning Commission for their April 4th meeting, and we will have a public hearing on this ordinance on the 16th of April, 2019. We move on with ordinance 39, 2019. It's authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement. I thought that's what yeah. Okay, so ordinance 39, 2019 has been withdrawn by the applicant. My bad. It says so right there. I just missed it. So that's all we have under second reading. Under first reading, we start with ordinance 40, 2019. It's amending table of authorized personnel 161.37E and declaring an emergency. That is being read by title only. Next up, we have ordinance 41, 2019. It's amending 161.38 of the codified ordinances to reflect the salary range for analyst supervisor, Department of Public Safety, and declaring an emergency. That's being read by title only also. Next up, we have ordinance 42, 2019. It's authorizing the creation of the Creative Palette Incentive Expense Account and appropriating $43,327 $0.64 from unappropriated monies in the Wind Pity Fund and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 42, 2019, move for the suspension of all rules.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Ms. Elmore for introduction and suspension of all rules on ordinance 42, 2019. Questions or comments? Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on ordinance 42, 2019.
Thank you. Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Ms. Elmore for adoption of ordinance 42, 2019. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Ordinance 42, 2019 has been adopted. Next, we have ordinance 41, 2019. It's making an appropriation of $38,391.12 from the Tax Increment Financing Fund to various expense accounts. Huh?
40, it was 43.
What did I say?
One.
41.
You already read 41, so.
Oh, I got the wrong ordinance number. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's what that happens. So I'll start over. We have up at this time ordinance 43, 2019. It's making an appropriation of $38,391.12 from the Tax Increment Financing Fund to various expense accounts in the 279 fund and authorizing the distribution of the portion of the total service payments attributable to each TIF to the affected vocational school district from the Tax Increment Financing Fund in the amount equal to 100% of the property tax payment the vocational school district would have received of $38,391.12 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, after all that, I'd like to introduce ordinance 43, 2019, move for the adoption of all rules. For the suspension of all rules, how about that?
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Ms. Heck for introduction and suspension of all rules on ordinance 43, 2019. Questions or comments? Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on ordinance 43, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Ms. Heck for adoption of ordinance 43, 2019. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Ordinance 43, 2019 has been adopted. Next, we have ordinance 44, 2019. It's approving and making a supplemental appropriation of $3,010.37 from unappropriated monies in the Wind Pity Fund to various accounts in the Wind Pity Fund and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 44, 2019, and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Mr. Morrison for introduction and suspension of all rules on ordinance 44, 2019. Questions or comments? Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on ordinance 44, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Morrison for adoption of ordinance 44, 2019. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Ordinance 44, 2019 has been adopted. Our next ordinance, 45, 2019, it's authorizing and approving an appropriation in the amount of $36,000 from unappropriated monies in the general fund to the city attorney document management expense account and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 45, 2019, move for the suspension of all rules.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Ms. Coniston for introduction and suspension of all rules on ordinance 45, 2019. Questions or comments? Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on ordinance 45, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second?
A motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Ms. Coniston for adoption of ordinance 45, 2019. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Ordinance 45, 2019 has been adopted. Next ordinance is 46, 2019, authorizing and approving an appropriation transfer in the amount of $8,340 from the Senior Administrative Assistant salary account to the Data Analyst salary account and declaring an emergency. That's being read by title only. Our next ordinance is 47, 2019. It's amending ordinance number
47.
I can't tell if it's a dot or a hyphen.
1975.
-7.
19-75 is what I have. Passed July 1, 1975, the traffic code of the City of Whitehall by amending Schedule 4, one-way street section, D of the codified ordinances of the City of Whitehall, and be declared an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 47, 2019 and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Coniston, a second by Ms. Elmore for introduction and suspension of all rules on ordinance 47, 2019. Questions or comments? Forever. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on ordinance 47, 2019.
Mr. President, I move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Coniston, second by Ms. Elmore for adoption of ordinance 47, 2019. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Ordinance 47, 2019 has been adopted. Our next item is Resolution 16, 2019. That's been withdrawn by the applicant. Next, after that, we have Resolution 17, 2019. It's resolving to approve then and now certificates and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce Resolution 17, 2019, move the suspension of all rules.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Mr. Morrison for introduction and suspension of all rules on Resolution 17, 2019. Questions or comments? Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on Resolution 17, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Mr. Morrison for adoption of Resolution 17, 2019. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Peck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Resolution 17, 2019 has been adopted. Our next resolution, 18, 2019, has also been withdrawn by the applicant. As well as Resolution 19, 2019 has also been withdrawn by the applicant. That's all the ordinances and resolutions we have listed on the agenda this evening. That brings us to our second opportunity for poll public. If anyone would like to come forward, you will have up to 3 minutes. All right, seeing no one, that brings us to Community Date Board. Who has something for Community Date Board?
On April 11th, over at Whitehall Yearling High School, will be the egg stuffing.
Stuffing of the eggs.
Stuffing of the eggs, 3:30 in the cafeteria. And then a couple days later, we're gonna bring all those eggs out to John Bishop Park at the Ball Diamonds at 10 o'clock will be the egg hunt, and over at 10:02.
That's the 13th, correct?
13.
8 hours to stuff them and pack them, and 2 minutes to
Exactly.
get rid of
2
them.
minutes to get rid of them.
Takes 6 hours to put them all out.
It does take a while to put them all out. Anybody that is interested in doing that, please see me out.
And we also have, also on the 13th, the White Oak community, planting of 600 new trees.
Yes.
Which begins at 9 a.m. So, and we also have on April the 10th, Safer Whitehall Town Hall, Keep Crispin at Heartland Bank, and I'm showing 6 p.m., is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. It shows a Parks and Recreation meeting that evening also, but I have a feeling that'll be changed, and I'll update everybody else on that as well.
Employment for Seniors is having another free hiring event, and it's going to be Wednesday, April the 3rd from 9:30 to 11:30. The other hiring event is going to be on Thursday, April the 25th. Please come out looking for a job, 50 and over, and participate.
We also have spring cleanup last week of this month, April, and the first week of May. Got that going on. Dan's favorite day, or tax day, is the 15th. Isn't that correct, Mr. Rogers?
His favorite day is
The day after.
Day after.
That's right.
Okay.
The high school musical is this weekend.
Oh, it is, Seussical the music.
It is.
On March 28th, Spaghetti Dinner, WCPA's, April, did I say March?
Yeah.
April 28th at noon before.
And I believe the senior citizen yard starts on the 26th and goes through the 27th, and that's at the April 26th and 27th, and that's at the senior center on Etna. Busy.
Lots going on.
Yeah.
Who else?
Good. A lot of stuff.
All right, we will then move on to poll council, and we'll begin with Mr. Tanner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody, for coming and for viewing. We've got a lot of things going on. Schools, thank you for your presentation, very nice. Very excited, as you know, I might go to a game or two, and I can't wait to see what happens with our schools. We've got a lot of good things. The city, we have a lot of good things. Tony, thanks for coming in tonight. Broad Street it's starting. I mean, it really, really is starting. Michael, 7%. I was totally amazed and very happy about that figure. That's it's working its way down. That's a great thing. I thank you for that. And I thank everybody. I want everybody to remember that April is National Autism Month. And I do have my blue on. I see Mr. Rodriguez does as well. As does, well, you have your tie, as does I see our safety director over here, Mr. Gregg. So thank you. That's all I have. Everybody have a great evening.
All right, thank you. Ms. Heck.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody that tuned in at home. Thank you for those that came. Thank you both for your presentations. I look forward to the projects. That's all I have. Everybody have a good night.
All right, thank you. Mr. Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank both of you for your presentations this evening. Looking forward to seeing them both coming to completion and enjoying those. Everyone have a good week. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Great things going on with schools, that's really great to hear. Tony, 178 steps from your front door to mine.
See you around.
Year round, is that what you said?
I'll need a key. I'll need a key, you know.
Okay.
Then you get the seat on the end, Norm seat. And there, was it Justice?
Department of Justice.
Department of Justice, that's phenomenal. That's so, it's so us though. I mean, we've been making such a transformation as a community through your administration, and I look forward to what's next. That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, our employees here are not afraid of challenges. They're not afraid of thinking outside the box in order to try to make things better for our residents and also the people who live around us. because it's all about community, and that's what we are. And when we care about each other, we want to find ways that we can help and lift everyone up. So I just think that the police and fire department have really been working hard in order to combat drugs, and also to find ways for solutions for those with addiction. It's not easy, and you know what? The first, second, third, or fourth time may not work, but hopefully it will work someday for everyone. And also, I'd like to say that our EMS team with the fire department is getting the EMS Star Award, and that will be, I believe, in next week or the week after. Yeah. And they were selected as the best EMS, I believe, in the state of Ohio. So we're really looking forward to them receiving that as well. Yeah.
Isn't that on West Broad Street?
Yes,
It's ODOT.
the ceremony will be at ODOT on West Broad Street, yes. So I'm so pleased with what, they're all doing. We're making Whitehall a safer place. We're helping people at the same time. You can't get any better than that. So thank you to police and fire, and also to the support, because this has been a whole administrative teamwork going on here, between the city attorney's office, with drug court, and also just as we sit around and when we have our staff meetings and we talk about, well, how can we help you do this better, or how can we help you do that? It's such a great team. I'm so happy to have them. And we all work together, so we make things better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Ms. Elmore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's what I always say. And that's right, that's right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for you guys for staying. I'm looking forward to all the construction that's going to happen at the school. It's going to make things a lot easier. Thank you to Two-Tone for bringing Bury to Whitehall. Cutting edge, I think we're on the cutting edge of doing a whole lot of things. It's just great to live in Whitehall. Also, I noticed the clearing out for Norton Crossing to happen. I love to drive down and just see all that open area right now, because I know some good things are getting ready to happen. And also honoring, I guess to select Whitehall is an honor, the Justice Department, because they could have selected any cities. But we are on the cutting edge of some stuff. It's just really good to be a part of that, and the continued growth and all the great things that are going to happen here. I'm just so looking forward to some of those things that are happening, and thank you for everybody for your participation. Once again, always great to hear the stats, because when you hear that Whitehall is the worst, the crime is so bad in Whitehall, we know differently, because the things that are happening here and the people that are moving into Whitehall to make it better. So thank you for all the good work that you do, City Attorney and your administration, Mayor. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Ms. Coniston.
Congratulations, Tony, Two-Tones. I know that Mark Coniston will also want a seat.
Make it cheers.
Be Mark and Chris. Schools, I love the look of that. I was excited to see that. It's going to be great. I think this is a really good time to actually announce the WCCA 4th of July parade this year. The theme is going to be keeping Whitehall safe. Just with the police and the fire, and we want to go ahead and we want to acknowledge all the fine work that our safety forces have been doing. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for viewing.
All right, well, I also want to thank everyone for coming this evening. And we have 2 new things getting ready to start. We're going to have that locker room ready, and we're also going to have a new establishment where people are going to be able to go and wet their whistle a little bit. Looking forward to it. What's that? I don't believe we have any other official business before us this evening, so I think a motion for adjournment would be in order.
I make a motion that we adjourn, Mr. President.
I have a motion by Ms. Elmore and a second by Ms. Coniston for adjournment. Ms. Aug, please call the roll.
Cantor,
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Rodriguez. Elmore,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned. I hope to all see you back here, either in person or watching us in 2 weeks.
Jim, finally stopped, 6,399.